So the setup for the bit I'm going to read is that Salima, who's our hero in this novella, is living in subsidized refugee housing. And her appliances, which are all smart appliances that she didn't get to choose, that her landlord has installed to get extra money out of his subsidized tenants, have stopped working. And she's decided to fix her toaster, which comes from a company called Boulangism. The Boulangism didn't go easily. After downloading the new firmware from the darknet, she had to remove the case, slicing through 3 separate tamper evidence seals, and a large warning sticker that threatened electrocution and prosecution, perhaps simultaneously, for anyone fool enough to ignore it, and locate a specific component, and then short out 2 of its pins with a pair of tweezers while booting it. This dropped the toaster into a test mode that the developers had deactivated, but not removed. The instant the test screen came up, she had to jam in her USB stick. When she removed the toaster's hood, she'd revealed a set of USB ports, a monitor port, and even a little Ethernet jack, all stock on the commodity single-board PC that controlled it, at exactly the right instant. And then use the on-screen keyboard to type in the login and password, which were admin and admin, of course. It took her 3 tries to get the timing right, but on the 3rd try, the spare login screen was replaced with the pirate firmware's cheesy text art animation of a 3D skull, which she smiled at. And then she burst into laughter as a piece of text art toast floated into the frame and was merrily chomped to crumbs by the text art skull, the crumbs cascading onto the bottom of the screen and forming little shifting piles. Someone had put a lot of effort into the physics simulation for that ridiculous animation. It made Salima feel good, like she was entrusting her toaster to deep, serious craftspeople, and not just randos who like to pit their wits against the faceless programmers of big, stupid companies. The crumbs piled up as the skull chomped, and the progress indicator counted up from 12% to 26%, and then to 34%, where it stuck for a full 10 minutes, until she was ready to risk really bricking the damn thing by unplugging it, but then 58%, and so on, to an agonizing wait at 99%, and then all the crumbs rushed up from the bottom of the screen and went back out through the skull's mouth, turning back into toast, each reassembled piece forming up in ranks that quickly blotted out the skull, and the words "all done" burned themselves into the toast surface, glistening with butter that ran down in rivulets. She was just grabbing her phone to get a picture of this awesome pirate load screen when the toaster oven blinked and rebooted itself. A few seconds later, she held a slice of bread to the toaster sensor and watched as its light turned green and its door yawned open. Halfway through munching the toast, she was struck by an odd curiosity. She held up her hand to the toaster, palm out, as though it too were a slice of bread. The toaster's light turned green, and the door opened. She was momentarily tempted to try to toast a fork or a paper towel or a slice of apple just to see if the toaster would do it, but of course it would. This was a new kind of toaster, a toaster that took orders rather than giving them, a toaster that would give her enough rope to hang herself, let her toast a lithium battery or a can of hairspray or anything else she wanted to toast. Unauthorized bread, even homemade bread. The idea made her feel a little queasy and a little tremorous. Homemade bread was something she'd read about in books and seen in old dramas, but she didn't know anyone who actually baked bread. That was like gnawing your furniture out of whole logs or something. The ingredients turned out to be incredibly simple. And while her first loaf came out looking like a poop emoji, it tasted amazing, still warm from the little toaster, and if anything, the slice, it was a lump, that she saved and toasted the next morning was even better, especially with butter on it. She left for work that day with a magical, warm, toasty feeling in her stomach. So yeah, that's how the story, it's not quite how it opens, but it happens pretty early in that story, Unauthorized Bread. And the whole story is available as a free read on Ars Technica. If you type Unauthorized Bread Ars Technica into your favorite search engine, whether that's Alta Vista or Ask Jeeves, you'll find it very quickly. It's also had a kind of second life. It's available as an audiobook from Macmillan Audio, read by the very talented reader Lemise Isaac. And you can also follow it along as it's being turned into a graphic novel with Jen Doyle by First Second. And it's also being turned into a TV series by The Intercept's parent company, Topic. So there's lots of stuff happening with that story, and the book itself that it's in, the Radicalized, is a finalist for the Canadian National Book Prize, the Canada Reads Prize. Unfortunately, the final round of voting for the Canada Reads Prize has been canceled by the pandemic. So we may all be winners at this rate, but it's hard to say.